The attempted theft of George Washington's skull is a little-known but intriguing episode in American history that occurred in 1830. This incident involved an unsuccessful attempt to steal the skull of the first president of the United States from his tomb at Mount Vernon. The episode underscores early 19th century attitudes toward relics of famous figures and highlights the security concerns surrounding Washington's final resting place.
Background and context. Following his death on December 14, 1799, George Washington was interred at the family tomb at Mount Vernon, as per his will. However, by the early 19th century, his original burial vault had deteriorated, leading to the construction of a new tomb in 1831. Washington's status as a national icon made his remains an object of great public interest, and this reverence for his physical legacy contributed to the attempted theft. During the 19th century, the practice of grave robbing was not uncommon, especially concerning prominent figures whose remains were considered valuable for scientific study or personal prestige. Washington, being a revered leader and symbol of the nation, was an especially tempting target. His burial site at Mount Vernon was relatively accessible, making it vulnerable to unauthorized entry.
The attempted theft. In 1830, John Augustine Washington II, then proprietor of Mount Vernon, fired one of the estate's gardeners, whose name is now unknown. Out of revenge, the unemployed gardener broke into the crypt with the intent of stealing George Washington's skull. However, the gardener inadvertently absconded with the skull of one of the Blackburns, who were in-laws of George Washington's nephew, Judge Bushrod Washington. The extremely dilapidated state of the tomb reportedly contributed to the gardener's confusion. Some 20 members of the Washington family and their relatives had been placed in the crypt, but many of their coffins had since rotted through, meaning human skeletons lay littered on the ground. The bodies of George and Martha Washington, however, had been encased in lead before their committal, so were spared this indignity. Following the discovery of the desecration, Washington's remains were inspected and confirmed to be undisturbed. This incident accelerated the plans to transfer his remains to the new, more secure tomb, which was completed in 1831.
Aftermath and consequences. The attempted theft caused public outrage and reinforced the need for better security at Washington's final resting place. In response, measures were taken to ensure that his remains would be better protected against future incidents. The new tomb at Mount Vernon, where Washington and his wife Martha were reinterred, provided enhanced security with a more substantial structure and an iron gate. This event also contributed to the broader conversation about the treatment of historical figures' remains and the need for their preservation. Public interest in Washington's legacy only grew stronger in the aftermath of the attempted theft, leading to greater efforts to honor and protect his memory. The failed theft is often cited as an example of how the remains of historical figures have been targeted throughout history, whether for scientific curiosity, personal gain, or symbolic power. However, unlike other cases where remains have been successfully taken or desecrated, Washington's body remained intact and was ultimately secured in a manner befitting his status as a national figure.
Conclusion. The 1830 attempt to steal George Washington's skull remains a peculiar and largely forgotten episode in American history. While the perpetrators failed in their objective, the event underscored the enduring fascination with Washington's legacy and the vulnerabilities of his original burial site. This incident ultimately led to improved security for his remains, ensuring that the nation's first president would rest undisturbed at Mount Vernon.